Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting. Well, we got this beautiful side-by-side behind us, and the truth of the matter is they became a lot faster, and in order to do that, they're actually a lot lighter. Well, there's a downside to that. The manufacturers had to shed weight. In order to do that, the gas tanks got smaller and smaller and smaller. Seth, you're here from TrailTank. Now, you actually got the solution for that. These things are meant to be ridden on a trail, man, not for quarter-mile racing. Tell us about your tanks.
Yeah, so we started TrailTank about 10 years ago, producing fuel tanks for the snowmobile industry. We've got a number of products available for them, but over the last couple, 3 years, we've seen the side-by-side market really explode. Saw an opportunity there to meet that demand, so that's what we're trying to do here.
Now, not only do they hold more fuel, they're actually better. I mean, the tank's better than the actual manufacturer's tank. Tell us why. Take us through the manufacturing process.
Sure. Well, the big deal is the larger capacity. We make big tanks, so you're going to get an extended range, so you can have more fun. But the big manufacturing difference is the rotational molding process that we use to make our tanks. So what you have there is pooling resin basically in all these tight areas. So as that resin is being melted into that cavity, you're going to get extra buildup in those tight areas, which are naturally more vulnerable to damage. With the OEM tank, you have what's called a blow molding process. You have a thin sheet of plastic that's actually stretched into the mold cavity. Anytime you have that material stretching into these tight areas, it's going to get thinner.
And you can see it right there. I mean, the manufacturer's tank's right here. This is yours. You can see the corners, how thin it got when it starts to blow it out versus the pooling method. Now let's take a look at your tank here. You got some cool features on it as well.
Sure, yeah. So this particular tank, it comes with all the mounting hardware you need. You'll use some of the stock hardware. You'll use the factory fuel pump, which we've already swapped over. The factory filler neck cap as well.
And you also have these pieces here. I mean, this is important. We swapped them over because your tank's thicker. It's thicker, it's stronger.
Yeah, so one of the limitations of rotational molding is you can only mold anything about a ½ inch thick or thicker. On the OEM tank, it has some 1/4 inch mounting tabs on the front, which we can't replicate with our process. So what we've chosen to do is just have some laser cut UHMW tabs that you use in place of the factory mounts.
Well, let's install it and show how easy it is. Now, installation's easy. To gain access to the tank, we removed the seat. Then we went ahead and took the floor pan out, and we removed the fender as well so we can gain access to the back of it. Now we took off a couple of items so you can see down in there what's going on. Last but not least, we removed the fuel tank. Seth, we're ready to put the new fuel tank in.
You bet. So you just want to drop this thing in the chassis front first under the front frame rail. Push the back end down till it kind of slides into place, finds where it wants to be. Then we'll start at the front. You're going to use your OEM hardware, the 2 8mm bolts and a couple of washers. You get those started first, and be sure to use this bushing here on the left-hand front mount.
Now, Seth, the beauty of this is that that's actually sitting in the place where the original tank sat. I mean, there's actually no modifications whatsoever to this beautiful side-by-side.
That's correct. Zero modifications on this particular model, and actually quite a simple install. So once you get the 2 front mounts located and started, you want to grab the rear mount bracket and also the 2 12mm factory bolts. Get those started. Be sure before you tighten this particular bracket down that there's 2 seat mount holes threaded into this particular bracket, and what you want to do is set the seat back in place before you tighten these up, just to be sure these holes lined up. The last thing we need to do here is go ahead and hook up our wiring harness for the fuel pump. And that's ready to operate.
Yeah, we're ready to go. You know what? We're going to add a little bit of extra fuel to this joker so we can ride it what the side-by-side's meant to be, ridden on trails. You take a short break because we'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by Dustless Blasting.